You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 400 of Podketeers. Wow, 400 episodes. It's been quite a ride so far, and we are excited for everything that's coming. In this episode, we talk about some of our most memorable changes that have come to the Disneyland Resort since the podcast launched back in 2014. And then we have a special announcement that we are just super excited about. We'd love to hear what some of your favorite changes have been in the last 7 years at the Disneyland Resort. You can share some of those moments on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Just search for Podketeers. But we'd love for you to join us over on our Discord server. Joining is super simple. You can just head on over to podketeers.com/400 and click on the Discord logo on that page, or you can go to our pinned IG story and join using the invite link provided there. Also, we're finalizing our selection for March Mayhem, so if you're not following us on Instagram yet, make sure that you are so you can join in on the fun. A very special thank you goes out to an awesome group of people known as the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. As part of the FGP Squad family, you get some additional perks like exclusive discount codes for Podketeers gear, additional content like the Podketeers After Show, and access to our happy hour calls, just to name a few. For more info on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to check out podketeers.com/FGP. And as always, a super special thank you goes out to the FGP Squad for their continued support. So I think it's about time that we get this thing rolling. If you are new to the show, thanks for hanging out. We hope that you enjoy what you hear and that you come back for more. And if you've been hanging with us for some time, welcome back. But regardless of how long you've been with us, we appreciate you taking the time to listen. So here we go. Here is episode 400 of Podketeers. Happy 400 episodes!
Woo! I know.
That's it, 400.
Yeah, this is, wow, 400 episodes.
I can't believe I've been here for all 400 episodes. Heyzen, when Heyzen joined in after, episode 47, it was really, the turning point here. It's just been the Andrew show up until, first 47, and then... Yeah, it was great.
Hey, man, it was an honor joining in at episode 44. When you asked me to be a part of the podcast, I was like, no way.
But anyway.
This is going to be a special episode for us because, one, we're celebrating 400 episodes. The podcast started all the way back in 2014, in June of 2014, to be exact. And since then, we've had not only changes to the parks, but obviously changes to the podcast. When we first started, it was myself, Mario, and Javier, and we're just kind of sitting around just talking about whatever we wanted. And over time, we became more and more Disney oriented. Over the course of the years, obviously, we had new co-hosts. When Mario and Javier departed, we had Gavin and Mel come on. We had our pals AJ and VJ come on and help co-host for some time as well. Then we welcomed Larry and Andrew as official co-hosts as well. Over the course of all of the years that we've been doing this, we've also had special guest co-hosts. Before Gavin officially joined, he was a guest co-host. We've had our buddy Jason on. We've had our pal Skylar from the Diz Insider come help co-host and be a guest as well. We've had the opportunity to talk to Disney legends and former Imagineers like Bob Gurr, Rolly Crump, Josh Shipley, and Brian Crosby. We've also had the opportunity to talk to amazing artists like our pal Marco Palos. I've had so much fun doing this podcast over the last 7 years now-ish. We're approaching year 7, I think, in June now, if I can math properly. In that time frame, Obviously, we've covered a lot of history topics, attractions, lands, parks, but there's also been tons of changes within the Disneyland Resort itself. So what we wanted to dedicate this episode to was talk about some of our favorite changes that have happened in the time frame since we started the podcast, because not only have we done history episodes, but we've also done news episodes where we talk about some of the things that happen on a weekly basis at the Disneyland Resort. So we're going to take a look back at some of our favorite changes. I'm sure that along the way, we'll also talk about some of our not so favorite changes. And, we'll see where the conversation goes. But I think it's time to get this thing started. What do y'all think?
Yeah, let's go
Let's
down
do
memory
it.
lane.
Let's do it.
All right. So I don't want to be too formal. I don't think we should be like, well, in 2014, here's the 27 changes that came to the park. Although I think we can, and maybe at some point we could give a quick rundown of some of the most notable changes. But I think we should just roundtable this and talk about some of our favorite changes. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I know we said like, let's do 3, let's do 5 maybe if we can't narrow it down. I think if you've been listening long enough, you know that I kind of have trouble doing that.
You got a problem.
It's
And
never
I-
just 3.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a little more than 3. I have like 48. And so I don't think we should assign a particular order to any of them because, I feel like they're all my children. I was responsible for none of them. But I feel like they're all my children, and I love them
all just the same.
I do. Well, some of them less than others, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
but
Oh, Disney. I love you, but I'm shaking my fist. Anyway. So I'll tell you what. I think since I have so many, do you guys want me to kick it off? And then we'll
Go
just
for
kinda
it.
from
Go
there?
for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
So 2014, I think there was definitely a lot of things that changed in the parks, and I think we lost a lot more things than we wanted. So I'm actually going to start my journey over in 2017. No, you know what? I'm going to stick to 2015. I'm going to just go a year after.
Let's time travel.
Because,
Go for it.
Yeah.
Put the clock back.
2015, okay, was one of the years that I just remember going absolutely batty over changes in the Disney parks. And a lot of that had to do with a particular day that we now celebrate in the parks every May. Now, I'm not going to say that this is like my number 5 or number 4 or anything, but look, the fact that we now celebrate Hatbox Ghost Day on May 9th every year warms my heart. Because for weeks and weeks we saw those like boarded up areas in the attic, and we saw the bat stanchion, and it would kind of change while you were going down and falling. It's like, I'm falling out of the roof. And then you knew something was coming, and the rumors were there. At D23 before that, we had seen an animatronic that kind of looked like the Hatbox Ghost, but kind of didn't look. It kind of looked like Ezra, but not really Ezra, but not really Hatbox Ghost, but kind of like the Hatbox Ghost. And then in May 2015, May 9th to be exact, Hattie returned to the Haunted Mansion.
Bum, bum, bum.
Welcome home, Hattie. So that's how I want to kick this off. That's been one of the changes at the parks that has definitely, for me, I think, impacted my enjoyment as far as not only riding the Haunted Mansion, which is, by far one of my most favorite attractions in the resort, but the addition of the Hatbox Ghost, the legend, of the Hatbox Ghost was so big that having the character finally return, I just want to send a huge thank you to Daniel Joseph, the Imagineer that was responsible for bringing the Hatbox Ghost back and kind of taking Yale Gracie's original concept and giving it a little plussing of its own so that we can enjoy the Hatbox Ghost today.
Yeah, they
Dude,
finally
that-
got the technology right, got it to work like it should. It wasn't there in the 60s, but you know what? 2015 was, I guess, the right time, and I'm glad it's there. It's on.
Yeah.
That was on my list too. So Go cross that one out.
The
But
day
that
we
was-
all rope dropped.
Yeah. Oh.
Pretty much.
Oh, we can continue the talk.
We
okay.
could.
We could continue the talk in May because
And-
May was huge with stuff. So
Yeah.
I know that there's gonna be other things I want to say about May. So I'm gonna let one of y'all go because I know that we're gonna overlap with some of the things that happened that month.
Well, May, I'm just gonna rip off the Band-Aid. This was gonna be top, but I'm like, rip. The debut of Paint the Night.
Woo!
The
There it is.
debut, the best
The winner.
nighttime show. Yes, I'm saying it right now.
Woo!
MSCP has been retired, so I will say that. So PTN.
Yeah.
For life,
It's
For-
on. Yep.
That needs to be a sticker.
right? Or a shirt or at least a sticker. PTN
Yeah.
for life.
The
Yep.
number 4, right?
With the with
the number
4
4.
fingers, NWO style, for life.
You know, that's the waiting for that. Melissa was there. This is the only time I've ever fallen asleep in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Was
On the floor.
on the cement near It's a Small World along the parade route, waiting for Paint the Night on the 24-hour, on the One More Disney Day, or no, the 24-hour day. It wasn't One More Disney Day that year, but yeah.
And that was actually your
24-hour day.
birthday.
It was my birthday.
Mhm.
This was, I mean, I can kind of tell the story real quick. I had the day before had my graduation ceremony from college. I drove through the night and got to Disneyland at like 4 in the morning because the gates opened at 6. But everybody else, I got there a little later than everybody else, and I was in a line in the bus, like the bus turnaround area, and waited there till 6. Everybody got inside, and then it was okay. Let's sit down for a while, and then Paint the Night. I fell asleep on the cement. Melissa's got a great picture of it somewhere.
I do.
And that was that. Great show,
I
great show.
love it. I'm so happy. I can't wait until Paint the Night returns.
I
You
know,
know,
right?
if Main Street Electrical Parade can have 84 retirement runs, Paint the Night should get another run at any point. We've seen a little bit at California Adventure. And honestly, I don't even care if it comes back to California Adventure at some time, as long as we get it back.
Same.
Would I love to see it on Main Street? Absolutely, I would. But even if it comes back to DCA, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, it needs to return to its rightful place at the Disneyland Resort, for sure.
Yeah.
Go for it, Larry.
Well, December 20th, I'm going to go backwards, 2014, Anna and Elsa's Royal Welcome. Anybody? Sorry if you really like that, folks.
He really loved that
Sorry.
Olaf animatronic that was on the roof.
Yes, walking in over there in California. Come on, no.
Oh, no, that's a thing.
I'm just
Anyway.
joshing. That was just a joke for all y'all. I'm just gonna jump a little forward. I know May. That was a good one, Heyzen, because I was there for that day too. The Hatbox Ghost, and that was awesome. Just Imagineering. I'm gonna go kind of just generally broad because I don't even know the date. Maybe the listeners will know the date on this one, but I was thinking about this just in wide spectrum, and I thought when I used to go to the park, like Andrew does still, where you're coming from a different part of the state and you're just trying to get there and get the most time out of the time you're there, right? One of my biggest things was, why is a security check right by the Esplanade? I used to always bug me because you get there and it slowed everything down. And it always created these long lines. You talk about the events that were the full 24-hour events. This would create these huge bottlenecks around that time. So one of my favorite things that's happened from 2014 to now is security check being implemented at the trams. And also, that's also side note, great parking lot out there at Pixar. And then the Toy Story lot, bringing out there with the shuttles, now the security points being out there. Kudos to you, Disney, like just logistics, creating an idea where you look at it and you think, how can you fix this? Because there were so many times you'd lose a lot of your time in there just getting bag checks. So a lot of those things now, if you could enter from those points, you go straight into the park, go straight out, just really nicely done. And I know it's a small little thing, but heck, I was just thinking maybe we forget these small little things that made our Disney experience that much better.
That was on my list, Larry. 2019, when Pixar Pals Garage went in, security at the trams, and then I guess it was, I think the security opened, it must have been 2021 when the security opened at Toy Story.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Whatever,
It might have been.
I think they have
It might have been
together.
2020.
Yeah.
I went. Actually, I think I
Oh,
know
yeah.
the timing. It had to be right early 20 because I went on Martin Luther King Day of 2020 before everything kind of went crazy that time. So that's when they were starting to implement the shuttle bag check in Toy Story.
That would be true because, yeah, one of my last trips was like late February. And I did use that. I did see all of the changes and experience that. So totally that.
It's the best. It's pretty sad that it's like,
Yes.
I mean, not sad, but it's like, yeah, what's your favorite things? Oh, yeah, that parking lot. Oh, I love the parking lot where they put the securities in. You know that? It's great. I love it, you know.
Well, I mean, you can understand why so many people loved when that happened, right? Because I think as Disney regulars, you know, if you went too late, you would either end up all the way up at the top on the mini floor, all the
Yeah.
way in the back, or they would send you over to the Itchy and Scratchy lot across the street half a mile away in front
Angel
of the convention
Stadium
center.
or whatever. Like
At one point, you
Honda
had to go
Center,
that
I've
far.
parked. Like
Yeah. So the addition
Yeah,
of the
that's crazy.
Pixar Palace parking structure was an absolute game changer for locals that would frequent the parks. But I have to say that one of the other huge changes that came along with the parking structure was the pedestrian bridge that they added from the parking structure right into downtown Disney, which opened just a couple of months later. I think it opened in September, actually. I mean, the fact that you didn't have to wait to cross streets and you didn't have to maneuver around, like trying to, like cars getting into the parking for downtown Disney, that pedestrian bridge just walks you right into, you know, the other security check, which is right in front of the old ESPN zone. What more can you ask for? If you're not going to the parks, you were just going in for dining or going to the Lego store, whatever the case was, going to the movies at downtown Disney, that's the way to go, man.
there's more I can ask for, I tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing with that bridge. It was great when it first opened because they had security on both sides. They had it on the Disneyland Hotel side and the ESPN Zone side between ESPN Zone Rainforest Cafe. Since they've been opened back up post-pandemic opening, there's only security on the Disneyland Hotel side. So you have to go all the way down the bridge, all the way through the parking lot, then kind of backtrack, go around the ESPN Zone building all the way up, like this whole big extra, like, I don't know, half a mile it seems. So, hey, why not bring that entrance back between ESPN Zone and, I guess what was it, the Black Spire Outpost or something, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's what it'd be called.
Outpost.
Yeah, I didn't know that they made that
Outpost,
change,
outpost.
but yeah, I would
It's
agree. I
rough.
think it does need both of those, yeah. Or, you know, split the difference and put it somewhere in the middle. Well, I guess it doesn't make sense to have it in the middle because you'd be blocking the opening to one of, well, yeah, I don't know. I
Who knows
guess
what's gonna
because of the
happen that-
construction
yeah.
that's coming, that's
Yeah.
the ideal location.
Exactly. Stuff.
Hopefully
stuff's
they do have
coming.
more.
New things.
Yeah.
Talk about new developments.
Yeah.
coming.
I guess that's me. I'm gonna go. I'll go to 2014. I think this technically opened prior to the podcast starting, but it's still 2014, so I'm counting it. The refurb of Big Thunder Mountain. When they
Yes.
added the projections and the smoke,
Nice.
they redid the whole track and stuff. By far one of the best refurbs. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do, but just the experience of that overall. I had only ridden Big Thunder, I think, once or twice. I'm a huge chicken. I'm less of a chicken now, but was very much so a huge chicken before and couldn't get up the muster to get on it. Finally did, was great, and then it went down for a refurb like I don't like immediately after that. So I had to wait a whole like year or however long it took to replace the whole track, but it opened up with this projections and smoke and dynamite. It was great. I think that's one of the classiest, best refurbs they've done to an attraction. It's so simple.
I agree. I think it did happen slightly before the podcast started, but if it counts, Mel and our friend Jill, my brother Javier, and my wife had all been listening to me talk about starting the podcast since about November, like October, November of the year before. So I'm going to count that as part of the legacy of the podcast. So yeah, we'll count it as part.
There you go.
If not, no worries. I got a ton more I've got a huge list, so it's fine. But yeah, that's great.
That's funny. Oh, man. There's so many things. Like, it was so hard for me to choose. I can't even begin to tell you how difficult this was.
Close your eyes and go, doink.
Yeah, and you mean
Yeah, because, see, the thing is that, like, when I think back to, like, the 24-hour day, right? When they did the 24-hour day in May is really what kicked off a lot of the changes that I really appreciated in 2015. Like, you know, we got the Hatbox Ghost, we got Paint the Night, we had the Herald debut on the Matterhorn. We also had, what did they do? They did the Enchanted Window for Peter Pan on Main Street. So, like, 2015, like, kicking off the Diamond Celebration, I think in itself, I think was one of the biggest things. So,
your favorite fireworks show for that is the same.
I know,
Oh, no.
and that's the thing, right?
Disneyland
Disneyland.
Celebration.
So I thought about including Disneyland Forever as one of like my top choices, but the thing is that as much as I love it, it isn't one of those things that I get to see as frequently as I would want to because apparently
good point.
they're
Remember
trying to
Dreams
do
Come
other
True
stuff
is
now,
better?
like whatever. But I think I'm gonna shift it a little. All right, I'm gonna shift it to the year after. I'm gonna stick to the Haunted Mansion, and I'm gonna shift it to the next year because in October 2016, after 15 years of being gone on the grounds of the mansion, they re-added all of the Imagineer headstones that used to be a part of the scenery. So all of the headstones that paid homage to all of the original Imagineers that worked on the mansion were reinstalled. And so now whenever you're standing in the queue for the mansion, you get an opportunity to see all of those. I'm not sure why they took them out. Honestly, I'd have to go back and try to research it. If anybody knows, you could just add it in the comments, join the conversation over on Instagram, Facebook, or on Discord. Drop us a note there if you haven't joined us yet. But yeah, they were gone for like 15 years. And the fact that they reinstalled them and they were a part of this reinvigorated mansion, because that year we also got a huge update to the mansion that a lot of people were waiting for, that if none of you bring up, I will bring up later. But for now, I'm going to stick to the headstones that were added outside of the Haunted Mansion.
Heyzen's whole list is just Haunted Mansion. It's Haunted Mansion year by year.
It is.
See, any me?
All right, who's going next?
I think it's Melissa's turn.
You know what? You're going to kill me, but a lot of stuff that I have is actually starts after 2017.
That's fine.
That's
so
fine.
I'm already...
My next one's in 2018 is what I got, so don't even worry about it.
Just jump all over it. Let's do it. No guide here.
Mobile ordering.
Man, on my list is just going
Mobile
smaller
ordering.
and smaller. As on my list too.
So sorry.
Erase it from. No, that's why I made a big. That's why I made a big list.
That was the plan.
That right there has, like, at first it was weird, but looking what it's done and what we do now, perfect. It's like this was something that we really needed because lines were bad, and this really cut time and just made our day better. So that's it. Mobile ordering.
I got a love-hate relationship with mobile ordering, but it's still, yeah. It was on my list. It's a great tool. It sucks when restaurants were only mobile order at that time of time we lived through, I guess. But yeah, it's better now. Mobile order, get some snacks, get some stuff. Skip that line. It's great.
Yeah. Diabetes to go.
Yep.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Funnel cake, please. Ice cream, please. Metal
And
cup.
make it convenient for me to pick up. Thanks.
Exactly. Tra la 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 la. And just skip away with your sugar in a bag.
It's funny.
Or favorite alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
Side note. Very good. Very good.
All right, Larry.
Well, for me, you bring up something earlier, like you kind of touched upon it. I wanted to jump into a fireworks show that I felt like had a short lifespan, and this is jumping around the years again. It's the Together Forever Pixar Nighttime Spectacular. That fireworks show was so good. I remember we moved. We were just talking about this. We moved out here about March of 2018. When I say out here, SoCal, we were living north in California, and like that, we had a whole month of just like craziness of trying to get everything ready from March, and then April, when that debuted, I remember going to the park for the first time, being like, okay, we're gonna be able to go more, and then that fireworks show, watching it with my wife, like right over the Main Street station area, down just a straight middle shot. We got that for some reason. It was open. And we got to see it from there. And I remember tearing up, being like, it's been a while since I teared up watching a fireworks show, which Andrew mentioned earlier. But that was the first time in a while that my wife just kind of got emotional, especially on that final line with Woody in it. I mean, it hit in so many spots. And it's one of those memories where I'm like, man, I liked Pixar Fest in general at that time. I thought it was a cool little overlay. I think that's when they were starting to try these different things of small little promotional time periods of doing things, but going like a little bit more effort than just putting up some small decorations and banners. It was like products, food offerings, stuff like that for in between times that were not really like the busiest time of the park availability. So that was one of my favorite things that got implemented for sure. I loved that show. Just great lights, great projections, nicely done.
Dude, I cried. I cried after watching that too. Like, I don't know what it was. And it just, at the end, like, dang, all the feels just flood. And I'm like, I don't usually cry, but this was like, man. I think that was the one time where I'm like, I really had a huge appreciation for Pixar. Because I think it was until, like, Inside Out, Coco that really got me. But it was Monsters, Inc. that made me cry. I'm like, what? Why? It's a good show. It was.
The Coco scene didn't get you?
No, the Coco scene made me want to cheer. It didn't make me want to cry.
Party every time. There's like these highs. I think that emotion. I remember watching it one time with Melissa, and just like the emotion of that Coco scene, just like everyone gets on this high, and then all of a sudden you're like, it starts like not going down, but you're like, you've opened your emotions up, I think, to that point, to like your vulnerabilities. So you're like reliving everything again. And Coco's like that's like the, I don't know, Tindo or whatever they say of music. When it's like at its highest point. Crescendo. It just crescendo. That's it. When you're partying, you're like, this is a party. This is fun. Yeah, it was good.
I think the best part about that show was the inflatables for Coco.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that was the fireworks show that I remember seeing, standing in the middle of Main Street, and when that scene popped up, people erupted. Like, I think from a cultural standpoint, over the last handful of years, we've talked a lot about, feeling appreciated, feeling seen, and honoring traditions, not just for ourselves, but honoring the traditions of many other cultures. And I remember seeing that part in Coco. And look, scenes like that have existed in fireworks shows and other Disney shows as well. But I think because of where we were as a society, watching that scene and listening to the people erupt when it happened, dude, it was emotional. It was one of the best things that I've ever seen in a Disney park. And I'm never going to forget that day.
Oh, I guess that brings it to me. So I'm going to jump over to 2018, the newly painted over Pixar Pier, to a little stand that serves the Num Num cookies. So that's going to be a new treat debuting at the parks. Hot, warm cookie. It's so thick. It's so good. It smells so good. It just really adds something to that area there, Pixar Pier. I mean, Not much there exciting for me except cookies, I guess. I don't go on roller coasters. I don't go on the credit coaster. I go on Big Chicken. But hey, there's a cookie there while I wait. Other people go on the ride. I'll eat a cookie. Really nice. Very good. That's
Yeah.
what I got to say about that. Num num cookie.
Yeah, that was an interesting change. 2018 brought a huge change, obviously, to that area with the opening of Pixar Pier, the Incredicoaster. It wasn't complete because there were other things that we were expecting. You know, later on we ended up getting Flix Flyers. We ended up getting Jesse's Critter Carousel almost a year after. And I mean, how do y'all feel about Pixar Pier now? I mean, I know when it opened, it felt incomplete. How do you feel now that they've added a lot more and that I guess you're kind of used to seeing everything that's around there at this point?
I'm gonna be nice. It's now worth $300 a ticket. It's actually complete, and I love what it does. Even at night. At night, it's beautiful just to walk around. I love it. I really, really, really do.
Yeah, for me, I think it took some time for that to get all developed. But I mean, it feels like a home run. Like we're talking about these Pixar characters or things that we've grown up with, and now the younger generation has seen in their movies as children, excuse me. And I'm with Andrew on this. Like, there's like things that you at Disneyland were missing, and on that pier. For me, I love getting the full experience of park going, and the boardwalk before was supposed to be this California weird like Santa Cruz vibe, which I had been to before, and I never felt like that. But walking by Num Num Cookies, smelling that, and then you walk by the fried chicken stand, and then you walk by like the corn and the turkey, it all starts coming to you, but you're still in a Pixar themed area. So like all of those things coming together, and even the sweet smell of walking by Bing Bongs, you know, in that area, the candy and stuff, like that's kind of like that other layer. And I felt like that's where it finally started coming together, and the music and sound I think was well done too. And I love the little theater now that they have too out there. That's a really cool little touch that they've added, just, you know, on the later side of the refurbishment out there.
Very cool.
Yeah, you know, I don't ride much in Pixar Pier. I mean, I don't ride in Credit Coaster. My wife does. She loves it. Everybody, whatever. Woohoo. In Toy Story Midway Mania, is just the line is so awful. I can't stand in that line. It's bad. But yeah, going to Cookie Num Num. Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. It's more cohesive now. Still kind of confusing with the Pixar Pal Around with the big Mickey on it. But it's, what are you gonna do? I understand why they're doing it, but it's kind of confusing. But, you know,
because I'm the boss, see?
Yeah, exactly. Gotta do what the boss says. But, you know, the pier, at least switching over to Pixar Pier, got that Maliboomer pad. Finally, something happening over there. Even if it's just a replant ride, there's something there besides like a smoking area or whatever it was for like a month and a half. So yeah, overall, I think I really do like Pixar Pier as a concept, I guess.
Yeah.
Luxo Jr. on the top of the sign, pretty good.
Yeah, I love that. A live Luxo
I think you're being really generous, Mel, by saying that it's worth the $300, because at most I still think it's like $125 to maybe $150 for a ticket. Because you know it's
For
another
a 4-hour
lane.
party.
You don't have access to the whole park if you're doing that. It's only Pixar Pier, so it's definitely not worth the $300 that they charged for that event that they did. But you're all right. They have done a lot better job of bringing it all together, and I stand by what I said, that they got to get rid of Ariel and put Monsters Inc. over there. But anyway, it is what it is now, and it will always be evolving, just like everything else. So, who's next?
You.
Me? Okay.
You.
Okay, so so I'm actually going to join Mel and talk about some of the technology that I think has absolutely changed the park. I don't think it's absolutely revolutionary, but it has made some things much more enjoyable. And I want to throw in the launch of the Disney Play app in June of 2018. The Disney Play app not only brought together a lot of the things that you would normally need to go speak to a cast member about. Like, you wanted ride times? Well, go over and see the big board over on Main Street, or go ask a cast member. Or if you needed to know where the nearest restroom was, you had to hunt down a cast member. Or if you wanted to know when the parade was, you went down and hunt down a cast member. And, the Disney Play app brought it consolidated a lot of the tools that you would basically need to make your time on the resort a lot more enjoyable. On top of that, it evolved to include mini games where it also became interactive. Like, if you take it into Fantasyland, there's a really cool interactive experience on Peter Pan's flight. That involves Tinkerbell. They had like little scavenger hunts where you could collect badges at some point. They added stuff for the Haunted Mansion for the 50th anniversary. They brought back the decoder card for Indiana Jones Adventure as part of one of the micro games in the app. So, when you stand in line, there's always these things you do, like you play Heads Up with your friends, or you play all these other games. But the Disney Play app, I think, as it continues to evolve and as they add more things, makes standing in line a lot more enjoyable. The more interactive experiences they add, the less time you're going to feel like you're standing in line. And I hope they do that more frequently, because, with a lot of the things that are happening right now with Disney Genie and Genie Plus, we don't know how much more they're going to begin to charge for attractions, or how often. And, having these experiences where you could enjoy standing in a queue if you have to, I think are really valuable, because, kids won't be as bored, adults won't be as bored, So the addition of the Disney Play app, I think, really brought a really great element to being in the parks all day.
It did. And then it also brought in extra things that you could play with that you didn't have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
So it had that as well. So that was a pretty cool thing.
Check out Esmeralda and Ned and Red. You get some cards for free.
Yep.
And it had
Right.
like storylines and stuff that didn't really have a storyline before. So
That was my
yeah,
favorite.
it was the Disneyland app and the Play Disney Parks stuff. Seeing all of those they added stuff to the queues. The Space Mountain, like all these little like symbols and stuff that you had to find, and Galaxy's Edge, when that came around, all of that stuff that you can add, data pad stuff. And it's the Play Disney app, it works for both coasts. So you have one app, and if you go to Disney World, they have stuff over there. And it tells they can tell you're in Disney World, and you can do the stuff there. Then it also has the stuff that you can just do at home too. You can take trivia, and you can do all this different stuff. I get notifications all the time. It's Valentine's Day. Here's some trivia for you about Mickey Mouse or whatever. I don't know, but it's. I think a lot of people forget about the apps, especially with like Genie Plus, trying to figure all that out now. But it's really like a really hidden gem that I think they should keep investing in. I hope they keep investing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
I will say that I think they do have to invest a little bit more in research for the UX and the UI, because it is getting a little crowded. You're right. With so many things that they're adding and all the announcements, it seems a little cluttered when you first launch it. But you're right, man. It is replete with things that you can do. Like there's a bunch of soundtracks on there that you can listen to for attractions. If you pay attention long enough, there's all these little Easter eggs like BB-8 rolling around Galaxy's Edge. There's a tiny baby Groot in one of the windows of Mission Breakout if you zoom in far enough. So there's all sorts of Easter eggs. It's just a fun app.
Mm-hmm. So I tried remembering when this happened, but I really need to bring this up. And that is Adventureland bathrooms being redone to possibly stellar top. Like, I have to say that because it's just so much nicer. Before it was, there wasn't as many stalls for us, so you don't see lines anymore on the outside. It's awesome. Anytime you can make a restroom line for us, that's a plus. So thank you. Thank you, Disney.
I'm with that. The guy side too. We could confirm.
I'm trying to think. I think it's either 2018 or 19. I'm like, I remember. I could be wrong, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think it happened between them.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember when it happened either, but I mean, look, that was one of my favorite restrooms, to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that, the TikTok seems to have plenty of people that are, giving away where all the nice bathrooms are and
course.
stuff. So,
I mean, that one's on like the main drag, so that's not a really
Right.
hidden away like the Rancho bathrooms or the ones on Tom Sawyer Island or whatever. But
how dare you continue to talk about them?
hey, these are
What are you
these
doing?
are our friends that listen to
Okay,
this. We
you're
can
right.
Tell them
You're
where
right.
the good bathrooms are, like the one.
That's why they're
Yeah.
listening. They're
Yeah.
freebies.
They know TikTok.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely. I mean, it was really tight before they redid those bathrooms, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I'm not the smallest person around, and on top of that, you coupled me with a big old bag of camera gear that I used to carry to the parks all the time, and it was not fun trying to maneuver around in that restroom. Okay, one way or another, I would get stuck walking through there. So I'm glad they redid them. You are right. That's a fantastic choice. I love it.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm going to go get a little bit spooky with my choice. It's not really... I'm just giving DCA the love it should get every once in a while when we're doing this, because I felt like that could be like an overall theme here for me. But this was a big thing, which we're going flash forward not too far back, but a lot of people were really upset when the Halloween party was leaving Disneyland. I remember this was like this huge thing, like, oh man, they're taking Mickey's Trick or Treat away from Disneyland. This has always been its like thing, like. But I think way back when it did start, like they had a Halloween thing in DCA. So it was just like this weird thing that was like, okay, people, like, relax. But what it opened the door to was what we now call, the Oogie Boogie Bash, basically. And it's like, that was so cool. When all those things started slowly rolling out during that 2019, the first year at California, the more, like, we talked about this, Melissa on the podcast, when you go to it, and Andrew, you're getting so much more real estate to enjoy like a Halloween overlay in one part of the park. Now, it's a special ticketed event, but like we said, these are things like are able to see still if you just go during Halloween. And I just think it was an interesting point because, once again, this is like a controversial thing where people are like, oh, this is maybe a bad decision. And the price was a bit of a high, it's always been high for the party. But when you look at it for cost compared to what you're getting in the full Halloween Disney feels, I think it really just went above and the top. I mean, we talk about too that walk where they put all those projections, and it's over there. Oh gosh, I can't think of it right now, but it's the outdoor walk,
The trail.
that area,
Yeah.
trail that they do at night, that trick or treat trail out there where they have like the Lion Kings, where they do the hyena scene. It's just so well done, and I think it was one of those things where I thought Disney put it out there, they took a risk, and you know what, they got California back in the graces of like, wow, really well done. And the tortilla, oogie boogie, and the tortilla guy, I mean, that became a immediate like just fan favorite, just hearing him go off every 5 to 10 minutes or whatever, and the laughing, the projections.
Yeah.
Dude, that is my number one thing. My
It was
number
on
one change.
I'm so on my list.
No,
too.
it's
Oogie
fine.
Boogie
It's
Bash
fine.
on my list
It-
too.
It deserves all the love. I mean, I spent years asking, when are we going to see Oogie? When are we going to see Oogie? We have Jack, Sally, and there's actually other characters that Disney has that I've seen, and it's like, when were we going to get this? And when we got it, they gave us Oogie. And not just that, the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, just that. I could be biased because I just went last year, but it is so good. You get your crazy Halloween, you get your little bit of creepy Halloween, but you get your nostalgic Halloween. And it is probably the best thing that they've had. You know, Disney's topped their Halloween parties, and you're right, it did start in DCA. I was there, and they had nothing.
Yeah, that
Nothing.
was not good.
It was like,
It was a kid thing.
yeah, bare
Yeah,
bones
it
and
was really just
everything.
candy, really.
Mhm.
Talk about value for money too. Like they really did invest in the Oogie Boogie Bash, especially with the Villains Grove and all the different
Yeah.
trick or treat trails and everything like that. You really, having an annual pass, you go to the Halloween party not to experience the rides. You go there to do the stuff that's limited to the event. And so the Oogie Boogie Bash really added like a lot more event specifics than at Mickey's Halloween party, because it they had the parade, the parade's the same, and they had the fireworks, but other than like some villain meet and greets, it was just like some pretty plain trick or treat trails, and then you had the cadaver dance, which were cool. But other than that, it was kind of pretty basic. Like you get to go on shorter wait rides. And stuff spooky looking. There's DJs and stuff. But adding these characters to the lines, adding, you have the World of Color when World of Color's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a whole different atmosphere with like a better value, even though the price is a little more, is a better value for what you're paying to get the exclusivity on the party.
Yeah. Yeah, ironically enough, the month that Oogie Boogie Bash premiered was also the 84th time that MSEP ended its run in the parks. But yeah, I mean, for everything that you've said about it, I completely agree with you. Especially this last one. I think they really stepped it up in a way where it catered so much more to adults. And, like you were saying, Mel, aside from asking for Oogie, I think one thing that we've always asked for when it comes to the Halloween parties is to really make it an experience that could compete with Halloween Horror Nights or Not Scary Farm or heck, even the Disney parks overseas, the way that they have the mazes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why they don't do it. I know that it's a lot more child-oriented here, but, bringing in the zombie characters to Avengers Campus that we saw in What If,
cool.
I think was a huge win for adults or just Marvel fans or anybody that wanted to see something that was a little more on the spooky side. Whether that was a test or whether it was just that they were trying to sync up with What If because of all the things that were happening, because they do a really good job of syncing the things happening in Avengers Campus with the things that are rolling out on Disney Plus for Marvel, which they maybe should start doing at Galaxy's Edge, by the way. But whether it was a test or not, I think they need to really start reevaluating how they cater to a more adult audience going forward for Oogie Boogie Bash or any other, paid Halloween experience. Whether they put it in one of the buildings off in the corner in Hollywoodland and build a maze or something and specifically say this is for adults only, or build like a child version or something like that. I think it's time. I think Disney fans are ready for that type of experience.
It may happen, and we'll talk about that later in another episode.
All right. Who's next? Andrew? Are you next?
Larry.
I just dropped Oogie Boogie.
Oh no, that was Larry. We just all talked about it. I guess it's Andrew. I
We're
guess
all
it's
on
all
it.
okay. Okay, jumping all the way up to 2021. I mean, it all got kicked off in 2014 with the Alice refurb, adding projections to that. But the best one by far, Snow White's Enchanted Wish.
Oh, absolutely.
Preach.
It's the best, overlay, best revamp of an attraction. They've only been getting better at adding stuff, plussing stuff up to these classic attractions, these classic dark rides, and it shows that they really care. They're taking their time in getting these things right. I was, floored with the Alice one. I thought, oh, this is great. Why aren't they doing this on Pinocchio? Why aren't they doing this on Snow White? Da 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 da. Well, they did. Takes a little bit of time, I guess, but just that completing of the story, making the ride make a little more sense as a whole story, as opposed to just ending abruptly like it had in the past. Just in all the effects, all the everything. I can go on, but yeah, Snow White's Enchanted Wish, Disneyland, what a treat.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it really did set the bar super high for any plussings that they do for attractions going forward. I mean, I feel like they added definitely a lot more shine to Alice. And then Peter Pan took it a step even further because, man, that place glows now. The fluorescence and the paint that they used are just amazing. Could it benefit from some more plussing? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what they did with what they had for the time being, I think is great. But yeah, nailed it. If there's any attraction that I think deserves all the awards for what they did with it, it's definitely Snow White.
And he did a great job.
Yeah.
Because that ride almost made me cry. I'm like, geez, what is Disney? Just
That's all those twinkly lights at the end. Ooh, that's so good. All those twinkly lights
everything.
at the end.
The
It's
way
so
that
good.
it just plays through. It's just, it's good storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is.
And, I mean, of course there's going to be people complaining about the story. But, it is what it is. It's a story. What more do you want?
Yeah.
At the end.
All right. Let's see. So many things on my list. I don't know where to go from here.
We did like 3 each, right? At least.
I think we've done 3 each now.
I think we've done 3. Okay, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure because a lot of mine got crossed off from other people's lists, so my
Yeah, I
list
was
say
doing
them
the same
again.
thing. Yeah.
dwindling, which is
Yeah.
good. Well, yeah, but I don't want to say them again because I have so many other things to
That's
say.
how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess.
Rattle them off.
All right. No, I'm just gonna go with it. I think we can continue going around for a little bit, but I think I'm gonna go with the opening of Avengers Campus in June of 2021. Avengers Campus was
That's the wrong
originally
music.
scheduled to open in 2020. And,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With everything that ended up happening due to the pandemic, unfortunately, it did not open when it was originally scheduled. And, we had to wait a little bit longer. But now that I've finally been there, I have to say that for what we have so far, I mean, it's amazing. I love what they did with the area. After Bugs Land closed, I know that there was a lot of people that were upset that, we were losing that area. I mean, thinking back to the D23 Expo when they were announcing all of those changes that were coming, I just remember how I felt when we saw all of the models, and I knew that all of these Marvel superheroes were going to be coming to the park one day. And then, towards the beginning of 2017, we lost Tower of Terror. And I remember just people were so upset. They're like, how could you, Disney? Oh, how could you? May of 2017, we get Mission Breakout, right? And it's just insane. Like, everyone that was upset about Tower of Terror closing changed their tune. Maybe even 5 times if you were lucky enough to get all 5 songs, because Mission Breakout was
6.
such a step up. Oh, 6, right, 6. Like, it was such a step up from what Tower of Terror was. I liked it. I liked Tower of Terror, but honestly, look, I've never been on it. I've seen the videos, but let's be honest, the superior version of Tower of Terror is at Walt Disney World because of how it separates during the 5th dimension scene. We don't get that here. So the fact that we got, this attraction that changes, we got Monsters After Dark from it, and then we got the mysterious, like, sewer cap thing on the floor that just had the Avengers logo. And for months and for years, we speculated about what was coming. And then finally it was revealed that we were going to get this Marvel-themed area. And then we finally got more details that it was going to be like Stark Expo-y and that it was very Stark-driven. And I lost my composure in ways that I didn't know I could hearing that news. And then Avengers Campus opened. Is it small? Yeah, because they don't have a lot of area to work with. Do I wish they got rid of more of the backstage area behind Mission Breakout? Yeah, I think they might be able to spare a little bit more. We still are expecting another e-ticket. When we're going to get it, I don't know. But I know at some point it's going to expand a little bit more, and I'm here for it. I'm so happy with what they've done with it, and I want more. So yeah, Avengers Campus opening.
That's a good one. It's a really,
You got
really
your
good one.
Spider-Man, you got your Thor, you got your Ant-Man, you got your Pink Pim. I don't know.
And Captain Marvel.
Carol
Yeah,
Danvers.
even
is
Carol,
there.
yes. Even Carol.
Even Carol, and you got, I don't know, who else is there? Hawkeye and Kate Bishop and
Doctor
Doctor
Strange.
Strange.
Black
There's
Panther.
so
Yep.
many. Sean and Aquafina. I don't know. It's like, I don't know the name of that movie.
Yeah.
No, they have
man.
Dasani, not Aquafina.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look, I have to be honest,
The-
though. When they did... that's funny.
You took you a minute.
It took me a minute.
Got it.
That's a good one.
That's good.
You know, I have to tell you that as happy I am with Avengers Campus, I know that Superhero HQ, when it opened at Innoventions, I mean, it wasn't the experience that we have on Avengers Campus, right? I think they did what they could super quickly to try to bring the Avengers over to Disneyland, you know, to give us a taste of what was to come. I love it because I got a Hall of Iron Man suits, so say what you will. I don't even care. I got to see a Hall of Iron Man suit, so I think I'm in the minority of people that were like, it was the best thing ever. And I will stick to my guns on that one. Because it was just
the Iron Man, right?
yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. Do I think that at some point, you know, they could, like I said, continue to expand Avengers Campus and bring a lot of those experiences over? They kind of got a lot of that already. You got your meet and greets with your Captain Americas and your Thors and all that stuff. But
Carol Danvers
even Iron Man, right? He walks around Avengers Campus, but everything that they started to bring into the parks, like, remember when they first brought in Black Panther and the Dora Milaje, and they did like the show with Black Widow and, you know, the ATV thing that they have, like the Avengers, like
Black
tank
Widow's
Jeep
famous
or whatever.
truck. Yeah, everybody knows Black Widow has a truck.
Yeah, like I remember watching Black Panther and the Dora Milaje for the first time, and I mean, it was shortly after, you know, the film and everything, and I think all of the emotions of the film carried into the character, and it carried into the presentation that they had for those characters. And I mean, it's just, it was I don't know. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna keep gushing about it. So
Can I talk about Black Widow's truck for a second?
talk about Black Widow's truck.
So
for a
Black
second.
Widow's truck. Every time I see this stupid truck, I say stupid lovingly, I guess. All I can think about is in the Pixar Play Parade, the big dump truck that used to have Lotso Huggin' Bear in the back. Is the only thing I was like, is this the same truck? I don't know. They just paint it black and put Black Widow in the, you know. She loves driving around in a big truck. I don't know. That's never in any of the movies. Black Widow's never just riding around in a truck, but I don't know. That's all I wanted to say about Black Widow's famous truck.
That's funny. All right. Well, does anybody have any more that you want to share? I know we said 3,
do.
but okay, cool.
I have one more.
Let's keep going here.
Contactless payment.
Oh yeah, it's a good
And
one.
you don't
Alright,
have to make a
alright.
line in the Emporium. That's the best thing ever. Especially right now.
Yeah, anywhere. We actually used
Kinda
it the
feels
last
like
time we were in the park.
Yeah. Kind of feels like you're gonna steal something because
Yeah.
like, okay, doop, 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 okay, I did it. Like, this
Let me
feels
get my
weird.
sticker.
Yeah. Just remember that if you try to get away with it and say, "Well, I did contactless pay," the walls have eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
about to
Oh,
say,
yeah.
don't
They
even
will-
think about
they
it. The
will get
walls
you.
have eyes.
I've seen it happen back in the day before they added contactless payment. It's a pretty folks. That's an insider tip. They will find you, like Taken.
A very particular set of skills.
They do. The security has some way of figuring it out. So yeah, I think that's a great one, Melissa, because I told you once before when we mentioned this on the podcast. It's just a great way to track what you're spending, which I don't think Disney likes that idea, because it adds up your total of the things you're getting and then gives you your discount if you have that discount rate on that checkout payment point. Like, you see these things adding up, and instead of the old way of like, I can do that, I can get that, I can get that, I can get that, I can get that, that's fine, I'll just check it out. Oh, okay, that's what it comes out to be. Oh, well, I gotta take out a loan.
400.
But
For easy payments, right? Afterpay.
for easy payment. Yeah. So that's, now I have a little bit more of a mindset when I go through that checkout process, and it is just really nice to be like, okay, I'll grab this and I'll take it easy going through, not worrying about my time. You might have a little bit of a hold up doing the mobile checkout at the end, getting your bag and sticker and checking, but nothing compared waiting in line at some of those longer waits in the park at the stores.
Yep.
Agreed. Andrew, are there any more that you would like to throw out before we begin
I got
to
a
wrap up?
couple. I mean, there's a couple big old ones that nobody said, but I'll say a smaller one. The Enchanted Hideaway and the refurb of Enchanted Tiki Room complex.
Tropical Hideaway. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Enchanted Hideaway Tropical. I think I got Enchanted Wish. I think I erased too many things.
Tomato,
think Black
tomato.
Widow
Yeah,
pretty
no.
well.
Black Widow's truck came in here and changed the words.
Just
Just
bulldozed
bulldozed you out.
Tropical Hideaway, and yeah, the whole just refurb of the Tiki Room complex in general. Like
That's in
they,
the house.
they added wheelchair ramps in and out of the Tiki Room that made things a lot easier for people that use wheelchairs. And made exiting a whole lot easier. You got this whole other place to get Dole Whip. You have a lot of sea memorabilia up on the walls. You got Rosita there, just talking your ear off. It really, the Aladdin area had just been sitting there dormant for 12, 15 years or more. It was, it had been too long. And so adding this whole another eatery here and everything, it made Adventureland just a little bit nicer, a little bit more you want to be there, not just like rush past, go to Indy.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a nice another little thing.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the widening of the pathways for wheelchairs, we ended up getting better stroller parking. They added seating in a
Yeah.
lot of areas. We got some area walkways behind Main Street. All of this was part of Project Stardust when they started to really enhance the park, and a lot of it was kind of an answer to how congested the park used to get, especially in the late hours when people were trying to leave, people were trying to watch fireworks and stuff. But yeah, I mean, what you're talking about specifically, Andrew, making it more accessible to guests that require wheelchairs and all that stuff, I think was a really great thing that the park did. I think the worst part about Project Stardust was all of the benches and trees that we lost to enhance and widen a lot of the walkways. I don't think we've ever fully recovered. I think they've added areas with more seating. Like the Tropical Hideaway obviously was one of the enhancements that was brought as part of Project Stardust. And right across from there, we ended up getting more seating in the Bazaar building, right next to the Bengal barbecue. So there were areas that I think were enhanced by it, but I think we did lose some of the charm that, you can't just sit on a bench wherever you used to before and just kind of people watch. But, it is what it is. You got to give some to take some, or take some to give some, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, dude, the Tropical Hideaway definitely was a great enhancement, because as a fan of the SEA, the way that they brought in the paddles and the way that they brought in more characters to expand the lore of the SEA inside of Disneyland, I think for me it was one of the best things that they could have done. And then, fast forward to this last year when they redid the Jungle Cruise and they added Alberta Falls and they continued to expand the SEA in Adventureland. I mean, it's great. Like, I just hope that they keep bringing in more of those characters, more of those stories, and just make it I mean, look, I really hope that at some point we get a Disney Plus series. I know that we talked about this some time ago when we did the SEA episodes, but it needs to happen, okay? Disney Plus is there. Let's make it happen.
Please.
You say you had a couple. What's another one that you have?
Well, I mean, there's like the big elephant in the room of Galaxy's Edge that nobody's like said
come on.
anything.
Yeah.
Come
I
on,
mean,
don't take
it's
that
a
from me.
good-
That's
Well,
my
why-
last. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, that's not my turn. I had a couple, but yeah, go ahead, Larry. Like, say it. Like, talk about Galaxy's Edge.
God.
Like,
Whew, thank God. Okay, so Galaxy's Edge. A long time in a galaxy far, far away, there was a young boy that wished so hard that he could walk into a land where he felt like he would be one with the galaxy and the forces would be strong in him, and Disneyland made that happen when they made Galaxy's Edge a real thing. And it's a special moment for me, not just because it was like the right time, because let's be real, Harry Potter Land at a different place that we mentioned kind of earlier had just blown up. And everybody was like, it's like full immersion. So I was like, yes, this is the time to bring that to Disneyland in some way. And it just felt like one of those times when your mind was like always wanting it to come to reality. You're like, I know, Heyzen, you're talking about Haunted Mansion. You always think about making it better, making these things come to life. I was thinking Galaxy's Edge. I didn't know it would be called that. Everyone calls it still Star Wars Land. But that's what you wanted, and Disney delivered. And it's just like, it's just one of those things that you do feel like when you go in there, especially now with the Rise of Resistance ride, that every piece of it, there's things that you feel like you've jumped into the movie, including when it first happened. Just the immersions that the cast members give you, even their costumes, down to the way they talk to you, down to the way they talk about in the outposts. It's just so what you want as a Star Wars fan. And why I wanted to talk about it as my last thing, I'm glad you let me talk
it's
about
not
it.
a problem. I just want to make sure somebody brought it up because it was like a very glaring omission.
Oh, it's on my list. Yeah.
The main
Okay.
the main key for this is, I know with you guys, I have a memory with each one of you going to Galaxy's Edge. And that's what it's all about the park. I remember us going to these previews, like going to with, Andrew doing the Smuggler's Run, being the pilots, co-pilots. I remember with Melissa, I walked into maybe one of the most crazy experiences where I became a kid, Savi's workshop, and building my own lightsaber, and she was there watching me, like, just, my wife's like, yeah, that's him a kid. And Heyzen, I remember just finishing watching, I had just like got done watching Marvel's freaking, oh god, I can't think of the name right now, the last
Endgame.
one,
Endgame.
basically, the
Yeah.
Endgame. And you were there, and we were about to just check in, I tell you, and you're like, oh, dude, you need this
Yeah.
now. Because I had just had all these emotions. I had waited so long to watch Endgame. And you were like the perfect person to be like there, like, oh, man. And we just walked in, and I think I got one of the best, like, Chewy hugs that night, too. So, I mean, it's just that all those things, like, it made memories quick. And it wasn't like I was planning for that to happen. But that's when I felt like, wow, that Disney magic really still exists, and the Imagineers that got put in that job, and a great Bob was leading the way back then. And I think he made an idea come to reality, and it really was just everything just came together for me. And I mean, that's just my part of it. Honestly, there's so much more to that park, of the park.
It's ironic that we spent so much of the beginning of that night talking about Avengers in a Star Wars themed area.
Isn't that ironic? That's the crazy
But
thing.
I remember
That's
at
what I
some
think.
point we ended up heading to Oga's Cantina, and it was just an awesome experience.
That was fun.
But
That was fun.
yeah, Galaxy's Edge, I mean, for such a long time, I mean, let's be honest, with the advancements that a lot of the other parks were doing, like, they were taking Disney's lunch when it came to full immersive experiences, right? Like, Cars Land was,
Yeah.
I think, the biggest immersive experience that you could have at a Disney park compared to what was being offered at like, you know, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and stuff like that. So they needed something like this, and it is about feeling immersed. And I have to admit that even though I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, like I think my level of fandom is, you know, a quarter of what Larry's fandom is. Like I mean I enjoyed Galaxy's Edge so much because of just really because of how immersive it is. You mentioned the cast members there, Larry. Like they really make you feel like you are off planet. You know, from
Right,
the
sons.
greetings to the like the nuances of like, oh, well, what are you using there when you have like your cell phone out trying to take a selfie and stuff like
Your
that.
data
And-
pad.
yeah. And
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
everything that they do, the lingo, how they treat you, it really does make you feel like you are not at Disneyland at all. If this was its own theme park, you do not feel like you are at Disneyland at all. And they
Oh,
did
yeah,
such an
definitely.
amazing job with it. I think it's much harder for them to do that with some of the other areas, including Avengers Campus, because of the fact that the park is so small and the line of sight to other attractions like Cars Land or, I don't know, the Blue Sky Cellar, you know, or the Pixar Pal Around that you could see off at a distance, you know, from certain areas. You know, or if you're writing Mission Breakout, it does take you out a little bit when you can see the 5 freeway, you know, across the street from the park. So, because of how the attractions are laid out, because of how I very rarely call it Galaxy's Edge. I know that for the episodes I call it that, but I usually always call it Batu. The way that that entire area is laid out, dude, it's one of the greatest additions that they've made to a Disney park. I know that it ruined the whole circle and everything, but it definitely this was on my list, Andrew, because it was
Okay.
coupled.
Well, I knew it was gonna be.
Yeah,
but,
and
like,
the reason it was on my list was for 2 reasons. Well, for 3. One, because it was Galaxy's Edge, right? It was a huge change. But 2, because it did something that hadn't been done in such a long time, was it remapped the Disneyland Railroad. You know, with
Yep.
the
Yeah.
Disneyland Railroad, you know, we ended up getting what they call what do they call it?
a left turn.
Columbia Gorge is what they call it. They added like the 5 waterfalls and everything, and you know, I love the Disneyland Railroad, so that was one of the reasons it was on there. I think the biggest reason I would include Galaxy's Edge as a part of this is because of Rise of the Resistance. You know, Rise
Oh, yeah.
is an attraction that, although it breaks down a significant amount, I mean, it is a marvel of technology. What they're able to pull off and the experience that you have on that attraction is really unlike anything that we've seen at any other theme park. And it sets the bar so high for everything that's going to come going forward that on top of the experience itself, the other piece of the puzzle I think that I'm sure Imagineering is going to be working on is how do you get it to break down less?
That would be the best.
Yeah, and look, I'm saying
Yeah.
that not from a bad place. I'm saying that
It just sounds
yeah,
funny.
but I'm
it's
saying that
true,
from
yeah.
a place of convenience and from the point of as a company that's trying to charge me $20 per person to ride this attraction, and even that's not guaranteeing that I'm going to ride this attraction, as I recently spoke about. I think some R&D has to go into making sure that the attractions break down a little less, or that there's, you know, some kind of backup or something, which I'm sure is there, but, you know, a little more wouldn't hurt, is what I'm saying.
I mean, it also. I mean, Galaxy's Edge and just it's added so it's like so many first. You know, first trackless vehicle at Disneyland. The first time alcohol has been sold publicly
Yeah.
at Disneyland. You know, just all these different things. You know, you got the return of Rex from Star Tours as a DJ. You got
Yeah,
it's
as a
just
DJ.
an endless supply of firsts at Galaxy's Edge and Batu, and it's really a huge undertaking. And you know, I was one of the people that like really scoffed at it, like, well, It's not called Star Wars Land. It's Galaxy's Edge and blah blah blah. Well, see, now it's great. It's fine. I don't care. Like, they did a fantastic job with it. You also don't have that. Well, I mean, it's still kind of half dead ends, but you have a kind of a path over there. Critter Country now that doesn't dead end as much unless you turn right into Critter Country. You can loop around again. Just so many things that have Galaxy's Edge has added to Disneyland.
Yeah,
Wow,
and then one of
take
the
away.
other things that they've done is this is probably the first land where they've changed music or the atmosphere, the sounds.
Yeah, no music.
Huh?
It's all no music in the. It's all atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds like
all.
wait,
yeah,
what am
yeah.
I
I
saying?
know what you mean though. Yeah, it's all just like sounds and buzzes and.
Yeah, and you could just sit there. It's one of my favorite things is you could just sit there and just sit. Yeah.
As I hit the microphone.
Real sound effects.
The ship crashed.
It's been shot out of the sky.
So many years, so many changes. Before we wrap up the episode, are there any honorable mentions or anything else that any of you want to throw out before we wrap up?
I mean, I got a couple on my list that are, I did. It's not like super big things. Like the World of Disney refurb, I think was pretty classy, even though it kind of
Nice.
got rid of some of the like characters and stuff. But I think they did an overall good job. The enhancements to Fantasmic, even though some of them I don't like.
Yeah.
I overall like the new Fantasmic, even though they took like one of my favorite parts out, but that's okay. Yeah.
Mel, Larry, any other ones you want to throw out?
I'm a piggyback on Andrew's Fantasmic. More dragon time. We get more dragon time and more fire, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give DCA some last love here that kind of might talk into something else later we're going to bring up, I think. But a ride that did not go well at Cars Land was Luigi's Tires. And I always think that was a great idea from a callback to back in the day, but did not get executed again. Just felt like the weirdest thing ever. But then a trackless ride was made, like Andrew mentioned earlier.
Well, at DCA.
At DCA, though,
Yeah.
I remember riding it the first time being like, oh, God, I want to really give this thing a try. And by far, it's still one of the rides when I go over there, like, I check the map to see what the wait is, just to be like, can I get on it when I come this time? Because there's just something about it, like just not knowing where you're going. You know there's going to be these moves, and then that last spin it's just great, nice, like fun, quick ride Disneyland's implemented, or DCA, Disney California Adventure.
Mel, any others from you?
Nope. I'll end it with the dragon.
Cool. So I'll quickly throw a couple more out. One that I want to throw out, so we'll keep on the Star Wars talk, is November of 2015 was the debut of Hyperspace Mountain. I know
That was a good one.
that it's not a popular thing, but it's kind of my favorite version of Space Mountain.
It is.
I'm just
cool.
going to say I'm happy that happened. And then the other thing is that Sally was added to Haunted Mansion Holiday in September of 2016. I remember it was such a huge deal to finally have her there, and I remember when they first started teasing it with the basket next
Yep.
to the tombstone, and we just saw that. I remember seeing Sally for the first time. It was such an amazing animatronic that I think adds so much to Haunted Mansion Holiday. It's amazing how one character change adds so much more to this entire attraction. So,
And the
yeah.
lighting.
Oh, that
it's on there.
too.
It just
They
matches
did so
the
good
movie.
with all of that. And let's not
So
even
good.
like bring up the fact that they plussed up the mansion, okay? Just in general,
Yep.
not even
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Coming back.
Just every come on now. Like we said, there's years and years of changes that have come to the Disneyland Resort, whether it was Disneyland California Adventure or Downtown Disney, and the changes are still happening. It's a place that's always going to keep evolving. It's always going to keep changing, and whether we like the changes or not, they're not always meant for us. They have to think of generations to come, and whether we like IPs in the park or not, they're going to continue to keep making their way into the park. Some of those changes that we've seen, I know a lot of people have just been super happy about them, and a lot of changes some people have not been so happy about. Sometimes we just have to learn to live with it, but if enough people complain about something, sometimes it goes away, and other times they just charge you more for the bad experience. So, you gotta just kind of roll with it sometimes.
Heyzen, what doesn't change?
Is that the love that we have for the special group of people that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible, Andrew?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because these episodes of Podketeers are made possible by the help of a wonderful group of people known as the FGP Squad, or as we call them, our podcast Fairy Godparents. The FGP Squad has been around for a very long time, helping these episodes get produced, helping us with equipment, helping us with everything that goes into producing, ironically, a free podcast. So the FGP Squad means so much to us, and we're very thankful to have them as a part of the Podketeers family. If you want more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad, you can head on over to podketeers.com/FGP. There you will find a list of some of our top contributors, a link to our Patreon so that you can sign up as well. You get some additional perks being a part of the FGP Squad. You get access to our happy hour calls. You get access to additional content on Patreon, a special section on our Discord server specifically for the FGP Squad. And you never know when I'm going to randomly mail you something. Whether it's stickers or a printout or something that we made, it just happens sometimes. Like I said, we're super thankful for the FGP Squad because they have been there supporting us for a super long time. We're always going to be appreciative of them. We're very thankful. And, of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. And before we wrap up the episode, we promised a big announcement for episode 400. And, we were asking for some help trying to take care of something else. And although it didn't happen where we wanted, we did get a little bit of a boost on some of the other services because not everyone listened via Spotify the way that we wanted our ranking to go up. But we do want to thank everybody that took the time to go leave a review, because any review that you leave does help us out. It pops us up in the algorithm to show other podcast listeners that we're around. And the best way to tell somebody that you like us is to just recommend us. So whether you leave a comment, whether you leave a review, or whether you just send somebody a message and say, hey, are you bored? Listen to this! And then just send them a link to the podcast. And, you could talk about it with them, and then we could talk about it with you. And then we can all get together on Discord or Instagram or something. We could talk about it together. Aw, happiness. So the announcement that we have is actually super fun because it's something that we've enjoyed a really long time. It's something that we've missed for a really long time. So I want to announce that, drum roll please, Armchair Imagineering is returning!
Yay!
So for those of you that are unaware, Armchair Imagineering was a segment that we added back when Gavin joined the podcast, and we had a lot of fun going through attractions, different lands, just places on the resort that we felt we wanted to take our crack at enhancing one way or another. And so we came up with ride concepts, area concepts, and it was just one of the funnest things that we've ever done on the podcast. We've missed it. We're bringing it back. We're still trying to nail down what attractions we're going to be doing, what lands we're going to be doing. And if you have any suggestions, send them over our way. Join the conversation on Instagram. Send us a DM. You can send us a message on Discord. If you're not part of the Discord server, head over to our Instagram stories, and there is a pinned story with a link to our Discord channel so that you can join us there. And, man, I'm so excited we're bringing this back.
It's coming back. I'm so excited.
Woo!
Me too. I miss it. It's fun researching, and you end up finding so many things. So bring it on.
Yeah. All right, well, that is going to wrap up episode 400 of Podketeers. I'm so thankful, to everyone that's ever been a part of the podcast. Like I said, I mentioned a lot of the people that have been a part of the podcast and have helped get us to where we are. I'm thankful for the three of you, to be here as co-hosts and help carry on the tradition. A long time ago, I mentioned that I always felt that at some point there was going to be co-hosts that came and went. And I always saw all of our co-hosts as Imagineers, that worked on the park at some point. Like Podketeers is our own little park, and each one of you brings your own magic, your own contributions, your own special you to the making of this Podketeers park that we've been building for the last 7 years. And I love and appreciate all of you, everything that you've done. Cheers to our next 7 years and building out the Podketeers network even further.
Woohoo.
So I think that's a great place to end it. So until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Happy 400.
See ya.
One great person once said, it will continue to grow as long as there's imagination left in the world. And I think the need for bathrooms, right?
Part of the Podketeers Network.